Okay. All right. Hello and welcome to the 19th edition of the Two Black to Nerdy podcast. I'm your host, Chris.
And I'm your host, Chris.
And today we have a variety of topics. The Arrowverse shows are just coming back this next following week, so we're going to talk about some other stuff, just some kind of miscellaneous things. I think first we want to talk about Young Justice Season 3. It's on the DC Universe app. Chris, what do you think?
Well, I have been a fan of this. They are definitely not shying away from, hey, we don't have to sell toys anymore, so let's ramp up the social commentary, let's ramp up the blood, things like that. It's sort of hard for me to believe it's been 6 years since season 2.
Yeah, no, it's been a while since the end of Young Justice Season 2, and I mean, it's a rarity that a show that old gets saved. I mean, the only show I can think of, I mean, like something like Family Guy was canceled multiple times and brought back, but that was relatively quick, and Samurai Jack got brought back a couple years ago now almost, so that was, that's probably another example, but yeah, I mean, the fans saved Young Justice, and I mean, they definitely... I really dig in the new storyline. They did another time skip, though this one wasn't as long as before. Let's get okay. So spoilers if you're not caught up. Though this happened 6 years ago. Wally's still dead.
Yep.
Pretty much everyone in the old team. They're all pretty much now we have a situation where the old team is mentoring a lot of new characters that we haven't seen, and the team this time, they're really like outside of the Justice League, so they're still like a Young Justice style team that's like, you know, kind of the junior Justice League that's a part of the league, but the new team we've gotten a lot of focus on are kind of like a bunch of misfits, almost like the misfit toys,
Right.
you know.
And so instead of the titular outsiders being led by Batman, they're led by Nightwing.
Yeah, which I mean I think is cool. I thought I was afraid we were going to get Grayson for the season, but it looks like he's still Nightwing, so that's good.
Right.
Wasn't really a fan of Grayson. For those of you who don't know, it was a New 52 saga where Nightwing faked his death and he was like a spy. You know, I don't know. I like Nightwing the best when he's Nightwing, to be honest.
Yeah, not when he's Rick or Grayson.
But we don't talk about that.
Yeah, but it's been very interesting with this sort of meta-human trafficking, which is sort of a social commentary on human trafficking going on, and then the real world, you have, you know, debates on essentially racism between humans and meta-humans, social commentary on politics with the Markovia, family bloodline, things like that. So I think they have really taken a really strong step with this season, and they've introduced a lot of new likable characters, but sort of in the same molds as some of the original characters, but they're also their own people, which is nice.
Yeah, they're different. I mean, you've got Brion, who's sort of like the angry one.
Right.
You've got who's a girl that can who can't die?
Halo.
Halo.
Well, she can die. She just comes back.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, Halo gets killed every episode. It's like Katie from South Park.
Yeah, and she comes back every time. I think my we'll get into the speculation on the character later. Forager, I think, is a fan favorite.
Yeah, the Forager's cool.
Yeah. He's a cool character. He's fun. He's kind of wacky. And then they brought back, you know, some of the old ones. So you have Connor and Megan, who are engaged. Nightwing, who is in a relationship with Barbara, who is in a wheelchair.
Oracle now.
Yes, in a wheelchair, which means the Killing Joke has happened.
At some point, yeah, for sure. You know,
which is weird. I wouldn't think that this Joker, like the version of the Joker we saw, would be one to do something like that.
Well, let's keep it real. Young Justice version of the Joker, not the greatest animated Joker.
True.
Not the greatest. That is one thing that not even. That's one thing I would definitely knock them for, is that their Joker. I mean, when they use the Joker, because we haven't seen him in this season, but when they used the Joker before, they treated him like almost like a B-list style villain, where it's like,
Right.
you know, the Joker. I mean, he's poisoned the entire Justice League before. He's done stuff like that. Like the Joker, if he has prep time, he's able to handle multiple superheroes and people with powers. When he gets a jump on them and that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the Killing Joke happened. Oracle. Damian Wayne is a baby.
Yes. Jason Todd is alive? Question mark.
Yeah.
But probably.
Yeah, he's working with Ra's al Ghul, who's not in charge of the League of Shadows anymore.
Yeah, which means that Jason was within the last year or two. He was resurrected.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll. They have to do something with him because I mean he recognized Nightwing.
He was Grayson. I was like, oh, there's
Jason Todd. Yeah, dude. Whenever there's someone with a mask and they don't say who it is, it's Jason Todd.
Yeah.
I think
next, Jason Todd.
I think in the comics, this is just off topic, but I think in the Batman comics, they're bringing in the Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
From the video game, but like Jason Todd is Red Hood, so who's the new Arkham Knight going to be?
Jason Todd clone.
They're the clone of Jason Todd. But I'm trying to think of some good moments from Young Justice season 2.
Jefferson Pierce,
dude,
getting him back out there. He's getting his groove back in more ways than one.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, dude. I'm actually shocked. There was a lot of Black Lightning in Young Justice season 3.
Yeah, not as much static though.
Not as much static. I'm kind of disappointed. I really hope we get some more static in the back half. But yeah, I mean, Black Lightning's a show now, so I guess they're like, well, okay, this character is maybe big enough to do stuff. We do see his daughters. They're young in this. His ex-wife is confirmed to be Jon Stewart's sister.
Yes.
So that was a good connection because that's something that I wish they would do in the Black Lightning show, but they're not going to. I mean, all I want is Lynn to talk about her brother John. That's it.
Right. That's all she has to say. You'd be like, how's your brother John doing? I don't know. He's off on one of his trips. That's it. That's all I need.
Yeah. But that was cool. My favorite episode was the episode with the Roys.
Oh yeah, with Roy, Will. What's the other one's name?
Was it Jim?
Yes, Roy, Will, because Jim Harper, Roy, Will, Jim, and Dick all had their adventure being security guards, and that was a great episode.
Yeah, it was, mainly because it's the same voice actor voicing 3 different people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, that guy, he got to have fun. For sure. But, yeah, because I was curious about what they're going to do with that, because then, like, the whole Roy Harper clone thing was, like, a big threat through season 1 and 2. So I thought that was a nice, I don't know, that was a fun episode.
Right, and it was, and it's funny in the episode with all the kids and human partners of the superheroes, it was funny to see that, who asked Will about, Will is the Roy Harper clone, just for if people don't know, that asked Will about him and Artemis, because Artemis is taking care of Leanne, who is Cheshire and Will's daughter. She's helping taking care of her. So Tigress Artemis stays there, and one of the wives asked Will about him and Artemis. She's like, no, we're just friends. There's nothing there. And I'm like, Wally's coming back definitely this season.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, no, Wally's coming back, clearly. It's going to be awkward.
And he's going to be the most powerful speedster, I hope.
Though they said something weird that, like, I mean, people are like, okay, Wally's clearly in the Speed Force, but then apparently, like, the Speed Force doesn't exist in the Young Justice universe, and I'm like, that's dumb. Why would you do that?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
But yeah, I mean, the Roy episode was my favorite so far, and Beast Boy's an actor.
Yes, which is kind of funny.
And he's voiced by Teen Titans Beast Boy now. They changed his voice actor.
Yeah,
same one that does them in Go, because I was like, yeah.
I had to pull up YouTube after I watched it the first time. I was like, was that the original? So yeah, so that's pretty cool. So speculation time. I am pretty sure that Halo, who is the new girl, is the mother box in human form. Like the mother box got transferred into her.
You think so?
Yeah, because the way she's able to interact with Sphere, she's able to essentially not die. Like she dies and gets brought back, which is something the mother box can do. And some of her powers, like I'm just waiting for her to learn how to teleport. And the fact that she just knew things about New Genesis without anyone telling her, I'm like, yeah, you're a mother box.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming in the back half. I mean, we've already gotten hints at I mean, we've seen Darkseid
Right.
again, which that was a big tease of season 2. I was curious if they were going to bring that back, and they did. So I mean, Darkseid will probably be the final big bad of the season. Granny Goodness is masquerading as a person on
To
TV.
be fair, they're not even hiding Granny Goodness.
No.
They're not hiding her at all.
No.
Which is fine. I think at this point, most people who watch Young Justice have watched the other DC animated universe things. They are well aware of who the majority of these characters are.
Yeah, and we got Vandal Savage's origin story, kind of.
Right, and that was a tribute episode to Miguel Ferrer because he passed away a couple years ago, and he was the original voice of Vandal Savage.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm actually on the wiki. Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, he died in 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played quite a few characters in the DC animated universe. He was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as the Vice President in Iron Man 3. So he was a presence in the comic book world. So in the comic book movie and animated world. So.
He was in Jackie Chan Adventures.
Yes.
Sorry, I just saw that. I was like, that was a fun show. But yeah, so as far as so the prediction about the mother box is good. Wally is clearly coming back after all that, you know. They're making a point to remind us that Artemis has moved on. So I mean, we're gonna get drama. Hopefully it's not as CW. I'm trying to think of other theories that I have. Do we see we saw John Kent 2 as a baby, right?
Yes, yeah, I saw that and I was like, "Oh, okay." Cuz for the vast majority of Superman, like obviously like in All-Star Superman, they said that he had descendants. In the current Superman comic, he has John Kent. And in a couple others, he has kids. But for the most part, in Superman's lore, they always say, like, oh, he can't procreate with Lois.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. We saw the twins, too.
Right, the Tornado twins.
You know what would be nice is there are so many kids now, is if we get an episode, it doesn't have to be this season, but, I mean, they always do a time skip with, like, the kids, like the young kids of all the superheroes. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Damian Wayne is around too. Though I wonder if Batman knows, but we saw Talia with a baby.
Right.
So they're all there.
Yeah. Who do you think is running the league?
What do you mean running the league?
Running the League of Shadows, because someone's running it. It's not Sportsmaster.
It's not Shiva.
Right. It's not Talia as an offshoot. It's not Raish. It's not Sensei.
Dude, Nissa?
Maybe.
Could be. I'm trying to think of
Bring Katrina Law back as Nissa.
Nissa. Did Deathstroke.
Maybe did we see? Yeah, we saw Deathstroke. He was with the Light.
Yeah, he was.
Speaking of the Light, we saw the origin of the Light, and Naboo was Vandal Savage's son.
Yeah.
Go figure.
That was weird.
It was.
Yeah, no, Vandal Savage is a cool character. I mean, the version of him we got in the Arrowverse, I just feel like because of budget, they didn't do as much with them as they should have. You know? So, but, I mean, this Vandal Savage seems cool, and he's hanging out with Darkseid, so, you know.
Right, and him and Darkseid have known each other for 700 years, 800 years almost.
I'm trying to think. You got anything else for Young Justice at all?
Let's see. We've talked about them. Oh, well, the big, I guess, sort of development in the first half is that Batman, Green Arrow, and a couple other big leaguers leave the Justice League. Um, and a lot of the heavy hitters like Superman, Wonder Woman, Black Lightning was one of them before he came back to Earth, are out doing basically like goodwill missions across the universe to restore the good name of the Justice League. And it's interesting because we find out in this batch of episodes that came out on Friday that Batman, Wonder Woman, and Nightwing and Aquaman have put this sort of covert unit together to sort of like distract from the League, because they've been held back by restrictions because Lex Luthor is the head of the UN and the UN actually has power in this universe, which is hilarious. So yeah, so I think it was interesting, that conversation between Wonder Woman and Batman, like,
Yeah, it was
you
cool.
know, you all are expected to lie. Like, are you okay with that? I'm like, you're looking at 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 people that were raised by Batman. Of course, they're comfortable with deception.
Yeah, I mean, it's what they do. No, I mean, and she said, it's like, yeah, dude, we're running like 6 different teams right now.
Yeah,
And I mean, I think that's interesting just because, Young Justice has so many characters. By splitting, different teams apart, it allows you not to have a story that's just super bloated all the time. And clearly the focus is always going to be the younger heroes, because that's why the show's called Young Justice. But I definitely enjoyed that because, like, sometimes when you have, like, the whole Justice League, like, army, you're like, okay, well, who can take them out? You know what I mean?
right.
Versus you're able to have different things and more like internal fighting when you have a bunch of different teams, which I mean, that's kind of what the comics do. How many teams does
Right.
Batman have?
A lot.
They're actually bringing back Batman's Outsiders in the comics
Oh,
pretty
are they?
soon. Yeah, with
Okay.
Black Lightning.
Oh yeah. They've been teasing at that in that Black Lightning Batman, um, or that Batman arc with Black Lightning a couple months ago.
Which is good
Um,
because the rest of the Bat family isn't doing super well right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it ebbs and flows. So I think that should probably. I don't think I have anything else for Young Justice.
Okay. Well, we can talk about. You want to talk about the Spider-Man DLC?
Yes. So the Spider-Man DLC, it's staggered in release. I think starting in October, then one in November and one in December. It was focusing on the Magia and Hammerhead, um, and collectively, I think I would give it like an 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think it started off really strong, and the second part was good. I didn't really like how it ended.
You didn't?
No, like I was a fan of bringing Silver Sable back and her interactions with Spider-Man. I was a big fan of Black Cat and how they do that. I just don't find Hammerhead that compelling of a villain after what the story mode just was.
Yeah, no, I mean, Hammerhead to me, I mean, he did kind of feel like a filler villain. I did like how he made himself a robot. I was like, all right, that's fun. And I did like having a team up with Silver Sable. I thought that was cool. Um, I will say the first DLC was probably the best, the Black Cat one.
Yeah,
And then the
definitely.
second two, I probably like the third one more than the second one, just because I didn't like Hammerhead that much. At least in the third one, you had some Silver Sable stuff in there.
Right.
They had this mini arc with Yuri becoming the Punisher.
Yeah, the either she's going to be the Punisher, which she could be, and I'm for that, or she'll be Wraith, which is who her character is in the at least 616 universe. Yuriko Watanabe becomes the Wraith, which is like essentially the Punisher.
Yeah, no, I mean I thought that was cool only because like Yuri was a character throughout like the main game. She was there, she helped out. Her and Spider-Man worked together multiple times. So I was invested enough to when she's going to the dark side, I'm like, oh, okay, they're committed to this. I'm curious to see. I mean, she'll probably be someone we have to fight whenever they do the next game.
Right. and I was sort of I was a fan of Yuri. I really liked her and her character and her interaction with Spider-Man. So it's sort of gonna make me sad for her to be like not a hero or not a good guy per se in this next one.
Well, it was because it was like Yuri was like you felt like Yuri was your friend. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and like I mean, we know Mary Jane, Aunt May. You know, I guess we didn't talk to Harry, but Harry is in a coma pretty much. Um, but it was just nice to have Spider-Man just interact with someone else, and Miles obviously too. But I liked Yuri just because it's just someone else to interact with in the game.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Aunt May's dead, and you'll have Miles in the next one for sure. Um, Mary Jane. Yeah, what'd you think about Mary Jane leaving for Sarkovia in at the end of the DLC?
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, so Mary Jane, they Peter and Mary Jane do their typical thing during the DLC. She helps them out. I think the first DLC is when you have to play as Mary Jane again, unfortunately. But yeah, in the third one, she decides what's the name of the country again? I forget.
Sarkovia.
Sarkovia. Yeah, in the middle of the third DLC, she goes, "Oh man, there's a situation in Sarkovia. I already bought a plane ticket. Bye." And Peter's just like, okay. Which, I mean, I thought it was just strange when, like, the whole game was about... I mean, the whole main game... I mean, the ending was, well, will they, won't they? And they get back together at the end. So,
Right.
I just thought it was weird that you have her leave like that. I'm assuming... I mean, from what it looks like, what they're trying to do right now, Spider-Man's not going to really have any friends except Miles right now.
Right, if they do a season 2 of the DLC.
If they do a season 2 or if they do a sequel to the game. And I'm curious to see, are they trying to put Spider-Man in a place where he doesn't have a ton of allies, at least initially? I mean, we know that Mary Jane will come back in some way, in some form. But, is Mary Jane going to come back from that trip? Is she going to disappear and come back? Like, they're clearly trying to do something because Yuri and Spider-Man, they had a falling out, and then Aunt May's dead, and Mary Jane's gone, so all he really has is Miles. It's pretty much like a
Right.
student.
And it's interesting because he clearly knows the Avengers because he references them throughout the story, like when you pass certain landmarks, like when you pass a Wakandan embassy. He was like, I wonder how King T'Challa got his powers. I don't even know if he said King T'Challa, but he might have just said T'Challa, which at that point it's like, you're referring to the king just by his name, then you must know him. And then he's like, oh, I know somebody with a shield in, like, I think part 1 or part 2 of the DLC, and it's just like, okay, you clearly know the Avengers. They're never around when you need them, but you know them.
Yeah, they're too busy fighting Thanos.
Yeah, getting snapped away.
Yeah, I mean, that's just... I mean, I guess you could just assume... I mean, for this game, they clearly want to keep it a Spider-Man game. But I think the issue... Because, I mean, the Batman Arkham Knight... The Arkham games were like that, too. But I think the issue you have with Marvel is that Marvel puts all their superheroes in New York. So you're like... Okay, how are they not like on each other's turf all the time? As opposed to with DC, you can have Batman just stay in Gotham. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I mean, there's been stories where it's like, okay, man, all those superheroes they just don't go to Gotham. And they, I mean, Batman, they've done No Man's Land and that kind of stuff. So
Right, and at least with like a hero like Daredevil, he stays in Hell's Kitchen, and that's pretty much it unless something really calls for his attention elsewhere. He pretty much stays in Hell's Kitchen. And Spider-Man, as Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, pretty much stays in his area. And Luke Cage, unless he's doing his Heroes for Hire thing, stays in his area. But then you have people like like Iron Man, who's pretty much all of New York because he can get around that quickly. Captain America is S.H.I.E.L.D. But the fact that Avengers Tower, you can swing to Avengers Tower and then swing to, well, the Baxter Building's not in the game, which I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, but you could probably swing between the Wakandan Embassy, all within a matter of minutes and just be like, why didn't y'all come help when there was a plague? when there was a literal plague.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I thought that. Oh, I hate Screwball. I hate Screwball with a passion.
Yeah, they really made her annoying.
I hope they did that on purpose and were not trying to make her just like funny, because she was not funny. She just annoyed me.
Super villain Logan Paul.
Yeah. Oh, that child. Yeah, super villain Logan Paul, essentially.
Yeah, no, I mean, Screwball. I mean, the Screwball was annoying, and some of those missions got hard.
Yeah, I would, like, if I got backed into a corner, other than the gadget ones, I actually had fun with the gadget ones, but other than that, if I got backed into a corner on any of, like, the Hammerhead bases or the Screwball fighting challenges, I would pump out all my drones, call up Spider Bro, and just, like, swing around and let myself heal.
It's a good strategy.
I was like, that was my get. You know, and in Team 4-Star, Mr. Piccolo help. It was like, Spider Bro help.
Yeah. The Piccolo, yeah. I mean, the Spider Bro, that's probably my favorite gadget.
Yeah, I tend to stay away from that unless I am in dire need and I need help. I like using Web Blossom. I think that's a fun one. I like using the Taunt one just because it's, funny. Oh, we haven't talked about the Sam Raimi costume.
Oh, yeah, they finally added the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man suit for free to the game.
And it is a beauty.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
So for those of you who didn't know, there's a lot of drama with this because it was easily the most requested suit that people want. It wasn't in the main game. And people started harassing the developers on Twitter. And it was like, and some people were like, damn, I wish they didn't give them the suit. He's like, don't give them what they want. But they did finally give the Sam Raimi suit. So, I mean, I thought that was cool.
Toxic fandom was back at it again.
Yeah, it's just that, like, it's like, all right, guys, whoever's listening, if people are listening, like, dude, they already gave you a great game. Them giving you anything else, including the DLC, is just icing on the cake. You know what I mean? Like, Spider-Man PS4 is complete, even if they gave us nothing. So,
right.
Like, the entitlement has to end. Like, just the... Like, it's fine to critique a game or critique something where, like, hey, I didn't get what was bargained for. Like, I can understand, like, companies nowadays where they release, say they'll release a fighting game with 12 characters and then they'll make the other 24, DLC. Like, I understand when you can complain about certain stuff, you feel like you're getting ripped off, but it's a whole other thing to harass developers, especially over things that are super minor and they don't have to give you anyway. They easily could have said, we'll put the Raimi suit in the next game.
Right. Because this is one thing, if you get this was Star Wars Battlefront, or that was just not a complete game, or it was Battlefront 2 with the whole online debacle with
Final Fantasy 15 was similar to that.
That too. Or was it Borderlands 69 that was so poorly received, or was that Fallout 69? Yeah, Fallout.
I think it was Fallout.
Yeah, with how Fallout was received. It's one thing if they give you a game like that, riddled with bugs or just super incomplete. But this was a fantastic game from storyline to mechanics. Yes, it sort of dragged when you had to play as Mary Jane or Miles without powers. That's fine. I can understand those complaints. But they gave you like 20-something suits. Most of them are fun and come with fun powers. I get it if you wanted the Raimi suit, but seriously, you don't deserve the Raimi suit.
I agree. It is a good looking suit though, I won't lie.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. I think they added some new filters of photo mode too.
Yeah, they did. Photo mode, photo bomb. Screwball.
The photo bomb.
Yeah, I was just like, just stop.
At least she's back in prison for now.
For now.
So
I'd just be like, Yuri, can you get her, please? Just her. Just you get a freebie on that one.
Yeah, I have a question for you. If you think if we're gonna assume they're done with DLC for a sequel game, what characters would you want them to bring in that weren't in this one?
So it's interesting because after the end credit scene of the main game, you had the sort of symbiote in there with Harry, which is weird because I don't want Harry to be Venom.
Mm-hmm.
It I don't really want Harry to be in it as a villain at all. I want Norman to be Green Goblin. I would want Eddie Brock to be Venom. Um, I honestly wouldn't mind not Electro, Mysterio,
Yeah, Mysterio would be
coming into the
cool.
game, because honestly, if they made him like the ultimate version of Mysterio, that would be great. Um, and I want to see who hired Taskmaster. Um, because honestly, I like the Taskmaster fights. I wish they could have been a bit more nuanced, because they pretty much just became predictable
Mm-hmm.
after like the first couple minutes of it. Um, but yeah, so more like that. Because since you did the Sinister Six this time around, I don't want to see that again.
Yeah.
Um, so let's have pretty much you'll have like different villains a part of it, but I would like to see Norman be the main villain as the Green Goblin.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Feel
they didn't do Goblin.
Just kidding, don't do that.
They didn't do Goblin or Venom, in this game, and it's still a great game. So, I mean, I'm excited for those two. I think they could do Craven.
Yeah,
Craven the
I would.
Hunter.
I'd like to see him be like one of those main side missions.
Yeah.
Um, I would like to see a Venom DLC where they did, what was that, like Web of Shadow Spider-Man game where everyone was getting infected by symbiotes. I think that could be a cool DLC for the next game.
I'm trying to think of characters that they missed. You said Mysterio already.
I think Morbius would be cool.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
already have him in the game, so it could be like a similar to how they did Hush in the Arkham games, where you find these bodies that look like they've been sucked dry by a vampire, and you sort of are like investigating and trying to find it, and then at the end you have to fight Morbius for a couple minutes. Not like he's a serious fight, but enough that you're going to have a bigger problem in another game.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, I want playable Miles. I mean, at this point, if they don't give us playable Miles, I don't see the point of them literally foreshadowing it the entire game, including the DLC. Where Miles just calls you, "Hey Pete, what's going on?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could throw in Spider-Gwen too if you really wanted to. If you wanted to do some Spider-Verse-y kind of stuff. But I guess it just depends on how grounded they want the game to be.
Yeah, I mean, they could always do a third one that's Spider-Verse, and then you could bring in Moreland and the Inheritors and all of that. And I think that'd be fun. And then see all, like, the different costumes of Spider-Man out there.
For sure.
Yeah, so I think that does it for Spider-Man DLC. Overall, it's pretty good. I don't think it really detracts from the game all that much. I just wish they had a better villain.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the DLC is fun. I mean, I don't think it's something you necessarily like have. But I mean, if you can spare the change, I don't think you'll regret it.
Yeah.
Um, so we can run through a few shows really quick before we get to kind of our main discussion. I finished the second season of Runaways. It was better than the first. Second season has way more action. Couple MCU references. Nothing too crazy, but Nico,
Which one's
the
new?
girl with the Asian girl with the magic staff.
Yes.
She when she uses her powers, she gets like the cracks in her eyes, like the villains in Doctor Strange did. So people are like, okay, so she like, does she have a connection to Dormammu? They don't explain it, but that was cool. And Alex, who's the black kid, he makes a joke about a technologically advanced African nature. I mean, African nation. So first, I think that's the first Black Panther reference within any of the TV shows. So,
Yeah.
so that was cool. But the second season, it built a lot of the first season of Runaways is like building up the relationship between the kids and the parents. The second season is when they actually run away, and there's a lot of like there's the whole idea is the parents are evil. So the kids have rebelled and they're leaving, and the parents are trying their best to get the kids to come back, and that's pretty much the crux of Runaways season 2. And there's also I'm trying to figure out a way to explain it without going into like huge spoilers, but there are aliens involved on some level. So just throwing that out there. It's an interesting show. It's definitely not like action crazy if that's what you're kind of looking for. But if you're looking for more like character study type stuff, they try really hard to make a lot of the kids and the parents kind of relatable. I think there's definitely something you could get out of Runaways. I mean, if you've watched something like Riverdale, I will say that Runaways is better written than Riverdale. Like Runaways, at least they have a plan, and they have arcs for their characters. While I feel like Riverdale is just like at this point just throwing mud at a wall. So I liked it for the most part.
Yeah. Well, I'll eventually give it a go. Don't know when, but
So the next thing, I started watching Punisher. I'm only 3 episodes in. This second season of the Punisher is very Logan-esque, where Punisher he's essentially protecting this girl, like this teenager. She has some information or some secret. We don't know what it is yet, and there's just constantly like people coming to kill her, and the Punisher is protecting her for the most part. So I will say that the second season definitely has more punishing, but like John Bernthal does not care. He kills people all the time. It's kind of bittersweet because pretty much everybody knows that it's going to get canceled, at least on Netflix. You know, hopefully, just like the other shows, hopefully it ends up coming back, because I definitely think Punisher, the show, you know, that has potential. You got a good lead, and I mean, some good TV action. But I mean, the second season isn't too bad so far. I've heard that there's a slog in the middle, like all the other Netflix shows. But yeah, it's just weird being in this phase where, like, you know, back when like Daredevil season 1 was out, and like Jessica Jones season 1 was out, you felt like they were building like this intricate TV universe, and like, oh, I saw that character, they're on another show, and like we were building up to Defenders. And since Defenders, like, that feeling has been gone, and then the cancellations on top of it have you know, just made it worse. So I'm curious to see if these shows will come back in any form, if they'll like have new shows, the same actors, I don't know. But Punisher, I mean, if you've got time, Punisher season 2 so far it isn't too bad.
well, if they don't come back, don't worry. We'll have great shows like Loki and Scarlet Witch and Vision.
No, it's Young Loki.
Oh god, that's even worse.
Yeah, no, so apparently the Loki, this is off topic. So apparently the Loki TV show is about Loki as a kid, and Tom Hiddleston is only doing the voiceover.
That sounds awful.
I'm like, who wants this? Like, and especially with Marvel getting the Fox rights back, it's like there's so much potential for so many different things. And if you want to focus more on TV, like, that's fine. But like Young Loki.
Yeah. No.
And they're like, oh, we don't know if Young Thor is going to be in it or not. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. The villain is apparently going to be Enchantress. But I'm just like, why? I don't understand at all.
No. I just hope these are all fake out shows and none of it is actually real.
And Scarlet Witch and Vision, why?
Like, they're not. You've ruined them from being compelling characters.
Well, I mean, and those are two. And Scarlet Witch and Vision are definitely two characters in the MCU that just like they haven't gotten enough focus for people to care. But it's like they're super powerful, and I'm just kind of like, there definitely should have been like a movie somewhere that had more to do with Scarlet Witch and Vision before Infinity War, because nobody cares.
I mean, also, arguably, you have the two strongest Avengers right there. or at least two of the top five. And who's really going to be able to stand up against them in that universe? Are you just going to have them roaming around as spies again because you're having them go up against normal people? That's going to be horrible.
Yeah, like I would have rather had. Did you ever read there was a comic they had with Vision where he like made an artificial family?
Yeah.
That actually wasn't bad because the wife Vision ends up becoming like a murderous psychopath, and then Vision has to put her down. It's kind of sad. And the whole family ends up dying except for the daughter, I think.
And then there was the beginning of House of M, where Wanda created a family where her and Vision had twins, which is also weird because he's a robot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you're trying to get people on this new Disney streaming services, I wouldn't lead with young Loki and Scarlet Witch and Vision.
You literally don't have to do any original content for a Disney Plus type thing because people are going to go over on there for the 90s Disney movies, for the Disney Channel original movies, and for all the Disney Channel series that came in from like 1990 to like 2008. People are just going to watch it just for those things.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. I guess because we're in this weird phase with Marvel where we don't really know what their plan is after Endgame. Well, we didn't talk about the Far From Home trailer came out. I don't know why we got that before the next Avengers, but I mean, I guess because it comes out soon, which I don't even know why it needs to come out as soon as it is, like in the summer.
I mean, I was okay with it coming out. Apparently, a lot of people were freaking out. They're like, this undermines Infinity War, even to the part where someone went on this like 5 or 6, chain tweet where it was filled to like all 280 characters about how this is ruining the next generation. It's going to show them that nothing has stakes and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, all right, first of all, by the time this next generation really starts growing up, all these movies would have already came out. Like, so what's the point? They're already going to know that these people survive after this because the other movies are out there.
Well, it's also gotta. That's less of a problem, I guess, with Far From Home, and more of a problem with just doing Infinity War as a movie. Period, because you can't really do Infinity War in one movie. If you do it with the part one like they did, and you end up killing everybody, well, they have to. At least some of the characters have to come back because they have sequels. You know what I mean?
Right.
You could kill off Iron Man and Cap for real because we've seen them in enough stuff already. But clearly, like Spider-Man, Strange, Black Panther, the Guardians, even though we don't even know what's happened with that franchise, they all have to come back.
Right.
100%. You can get rid of Tony because at this point Tony's made his mark on the universe. You can get rid of Cap, I think for the same reasons, arguably. Everyone else, I'm like, You get rid of Hawkeye, I guess.
Thor can stick around, but he can just, have left Earth, essentially. He can just, or be king of Asgard somewhere. He doesn't really need to be a part of the Avengers unless they really need him. But arguably you won't need him because Captain Marvel's apparently super strong and she just looks really bland. Like, of all the seasonings, she's flour.
Yeah, I mean, Captain Marvel. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of hype for that movie. I've noticed online, like a lot of it. Like people are like, "This is going to be the best thing ever," and I'm just like, "It looks fine." I'm like, yeah. I really hope it's not a Last Jedi situation.
That's my new thing for pretty much all these movies that get a lot of fan theories and things. I'm like, you guys are gonna The Last Jedi it because I mean, granted, controversy aside with like some of the things that happened in it, the fan theories are what killed that movie more than anything, in my opinion. But we've talked about The Last Jedi enough on this podcast.
Yeah, I think the internet's talked about The Last Jedi enough.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if in 10 years people start doing dissertations on it.
All right. Well, so the
Now
only
to the main event.
wait, one more thing.
Oh, one more thing.
Caught up on the Gifted. It's
Ah,
fine. It's not a bad show. I'm curious to see if they're going to keep it on the air now that the Marvel Fox merger is pretty much done. But it's not a bad X Men show, just in the sense of like it keeps stuff self-contained enough, and it does the whole humans and mutant, kind of conflict. I thought relatively well with the budget. So I mean, if you're missing the X Men, I think the Gifted can definitely do something for you. So I'm just throwing that out there.
yeah, I
Alrighty.
remember watching the first season. Mm, it was just okay.
All right. So you want to get in the main event?
Yes, the main event.
We
When
both
Broly now.
Yeah, so Chris and I we saw Dragon Ball Z Broly opening night. I had a really good time. I thought the movie was pretty fantastic. If you're a Dragon Ball fan, I can't see why you wouldn't like it. There are some people who are nitpicking because they changed up Bardock's origin and like
Yeah,
some of Goku's origin with the Dragon Ball Minus adaptation.
just straight up make him Superman.
But overall, I really enjoyed the film. I think anime fans and Dragon Ball Z fans, yeah, it was really good.
Best Dragon Ball Super Z GT Dragon Ball movie by far.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I guess this podcast will come out like probably like a week or so from now. So we can get into spoilers. So spoiler warning if you haven't seen it yet. Um,
Yes. Bardock dies. Spoiler alert.
Bardock dies. Oh my gosh. So I guess one thing I liked about this movie is that it was littered with references to the show. And you really felt like, because the thing is, sometimes like Toriyama's one of those guys. Dragon Ball's been around long enough. He forgets his own stuff. Like he has a
Oh wow.
notoriously bad memory. And what I liked was that there were a lot of references to the show, different things that had happened in the show. Like one thing I thought was cool was one the scene I did like is when you see Bardock and what's Goku's mom, Jine, is that her name?
Oh god.
I think when they send Goku away in the pod and you see the pod go to Earth,
Yeah,
you get
Gine.
yeah, you see the pod go to Earth, you get like a flash of like Goku's life and him growing up. I thought that was really cool. We
Really
got to
well
see
animated.
young Nappa and Raditz. We got to see young Raditz. We saw in the flashback we saw King Cole, we saw the Ginyu Force.
Frieza came out like a boss.
Frieza's opening scene in the movie. This movie gave us a really good Frieza. Like they did a really good job reminding us how evil Frieza was. Hello monkeys.
Yeah, I was like, oh, there's the racism.
Yeah, he's like, well, here are these scouters. Let me show you how they work. Oh, are those snipers trained on me? Are those your strongest guys? Finger beam, boom, kills them.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this after we watched it when we were outside, Chris. But there was a group of black people sitting right in the in front of us, and when Frieza was like, "Hello, monkeys," they all like stood up really like in their seats, like, "What?" It's like, "Oh, y'all forgot about how racist Frieza
was. Yeah, he
Frieza
was.
grew up in the American South back in the 50s."
Yeah, he did. Yeah, no, my God. No, but just the voice acting, the delivery, Frieza was just classic Frieza in this movie. Another thing that I like that he did, we haven't talked about Broly yet, the part where Broly's fighting, and I don't think Broly had gone Super Saiyan yet. And him and Paragus are talking like, oh, he hasn't gone Super Saiyan? No. And then Frieza has a flashback to when he killed Krillin, and that was the trigger for Goku and Super Saiyan for the first time.
Yeah.
And then he
He's
killed.
like, I want to test
I
something.
want to test it out, and Frieza kills Broly's dad, and that causes Broly to reach his max power level.
Right. And yeah, Frieza was really great and really petty in this movie. And then he when Goku and Vegeta were fighting Super Saiyan Broly as Blue, and then they went to go teleport out, they brought Broly right in front of Frieza because at that point he was going to fight whoever.
Yeah.
And they're just like, have fun, Frieza, and then Goku used instant transmission with Vegeta, and that was hilarious.
That was great. No, that because like Frieza, like the whole movie, you're like, God, man, Frieza's like a bastard. Like, and he finally, I mean, that's the most payback he got. I do feel like he got let off a little easy since most of what happened in the movie was his fault for the most part. And they're like, all right, we'll let Frieza go. But I did like that he had to fight Broly, and Broly, I mean, Broly was beating up Golden Frieza pretty well.
Yeah, he was taking him to town, and it was funny when after he sort of slammed Frieza into a mountain, just told Frieza to stay there. He went after Whis, and Whis was just sort of like dodging him, like, oh, almost got me there, and then what everyone had been waiting for, all Gogeta fans have been waiting for years.
Mm-hmm.
Gogeta is now canon.
Yeah, Gogeta is canon. Piccolo has to teach Goku and Vegeta the fusion dance. They screw it up twice, so we get the fat one and the skinny one, which were, again, good callbacks to the show. Because, like, when we saw the movie, we had a really good audience that, like, reacted to the things you're supposed to react to. And that movie was, like, littered with fan servicey moments like that.
Right.
So it was good. I mean, it was made for the fans, you know?
Right. And speaking of things that, talking about, like, Toriyama style, when it was talking about the wishes, how Bulma wanted it to be 5 years younger, because other than that, people would notice, like, oh, who's your surgeon, blah, 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 blah. And then the right next scene, it transitions into what Frieza's wish was. And Frieza wanted to be, spoiler alert, 5 centimeters taller. That's why he wanted the Dragon Balls, because it wanted to look like he was still growing, like it was natural. And people were like, oh, that's stupid. I'm like, but that's sort of like kid-friendly funny. And that's what sort of the thing that Dragon Ball Super has been. It's been getting back to the like fun that Dragon Ball was, while keeping sort of the power levels of Dragon Ball Z. And so that's what Toriyama was. This was a fan service to really Dragon Ball fans and Dragon Ball C fans, but sort of like early Dragon Ball Z fans. But I enjoyed it. I think it was true to form. No Gohan, which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still a Gohan fan, even though he still doesn't really do anything. Yes, and then a lot of people's favorite character, what's her name? Starts with a C.
The alien girl?
Yes, we're just going to call her Jane for now, because the Tarzan Jane references between her and Broly were super strong.
Yeah. I mean, so the way they changed up Broly's character in this movie, in the original Broly movie, he was essentially a giant baby. The only thing he said was Kakarot. You took off his limiter. He went crazy. He didn't say much, though.
Yeah, after he goes... Well, not too long after he goes, like, full Legendary Super Saiyan mode, at that point he's just saying Kakarot. But he could speak before.
Yeah. But in this one, Broly's much more of, like... He's more of, like, an abused kid, where... Paragus has had this limiter on him, and whenever he disobeyed him, Paragus would shock him, because he's trying to control Broly's power. And him and his dad were living on this abandoned planet with no like humanoid people, with just like these like bug creatures that were they were really gross. And the giant what's the green thing? I don't even know what it was. Ba. Yeah. So
Chilai, that's her name.
Chilai, yeah. So the way Broly gets found is that the alien girl and her friend, like old guy, they go
Chilai and Limo.
Limo, yeah, they go to that abandoned planet because they're looking to recruit for the Frieza Force, because Frieza's army is not what it used to be, clearly. And then they bring Broly back, and Frieza realizes that he can use Broly to fight the Saiyans. Because at this point, Frieza's smart enough to know that he can't beat Goku and Vegeta.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, she was a good character. I mean, early on, she takes the switch that Paragus has to limit Broly and crushes it.
Right.
So I mean that causes so that Paragus can't control him later, and she actually saves Broly from dying because Gogeta was gonna kill Broly with the final attack, and they use Shenron to wish him back to his planet to save him, pretty much.
Right. And I thought that was fine. Um, it just sets it up open for Broly to be not a villain but a rival, which brings us to the truly most fan servicey moment of the entire movie, which happens at the very end, where Goku is on the planet. What was it, Venma or something like
Yeah,
that?
something like that.
Vampa. There we go. Is on the planet Vampa, and Broly is there with Chilai and Limo. Goku enters transmissions there. He gives them food and supplies and capsules so they can, live there. And then they're like, "Well, what's your name?" And he's like, "My name is Goku, but Broly, call me Kakarot."
Kakarot. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. I think everyone sort of like erupted in cheers at that part because it was just like, so next time we see him, instead of just yelling when he's in Super Saiyan mode, he'll be like, Kakarot!
Yeah, because I mean that's what the original Broly was known for.
Right.
Um,
And, they made Super Saiyan 4 canon.
yeah, I mean, so the way they describe Broly's power is that he essentially has the power of a grade 8, but he's able to keep his speed and agility and stay in, like, his humanoid form. So, I mean, Broly's powers in the movie are essentially Super Saiyan 4, because that's what Super Saiyan 4 was.
Right, and then he went Super Saiyan, so he was really making it Super Saiyan 4.
Yeah,
Because Super Saiyan 4, you had to do the Golden Ape. Uh, the Super Saiyan Uzuru.
yeah. I mean, and the action period was beautifully animated. We got Vegeta and regular Super Saiyan God, which we had only gotten in the manga up to this point. They didn't do it in the anime.
Right.
So that was cool. I mean, we got to see. I mean, we got a long fight in this movie. Vegeta had his turn, Goku had his turn, and then we had to fuse and be Gogeta. So I thought that was all really cool.
And for the first time that I can even remember, we saw a fight in Dragon Ball from from Broly's perspective, but from a first person perspective. Usually, we always have this, where this omniscient being watching it, but we got to see it from Broly's perspective and Broly punching Goku through an ice mountain and then following him through the hole. I thought that was really cool.
I did think it was really cool. I like when he drags Goku's face through the side of the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He and you got to give it up to Sean Schemmel because when Goku was getting the Loki treatment from Broly, like it sounded like he was in some pain.
Yeah. Yeah. When he used him like yeah, he pretty much just used Goku as a ragdoll at that point.
Mm-hmm. And he was a toddler throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, and we didn't even get into. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but so the flashback, a good like what we say 45 minutes of this movie is 40 minutes maybe is a flashback to Planet of Vegeta. We see. We get Bardock's dad, we get King Vegeta, Vegeta's dad. I mean, we had Frieza's intro, and we have Bardock's Goku's dad. So I guess the semi-controversial part of this movie is that they like Bardock, the father of Goku, the old like Bardock origin that's out. It's no longer canon. This is the canon story. Yeah. In this one, they make Bardock. He's a lot less savage because, like, in the original Bardock, the father of Goku, like, Bardock was not a good guy. Like, he was not a hero.
No.
In the Saiyans period, I mean, they're still pretty evil in this, but the Saiyans, the Saiyans were, they were dicks. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, they're a race of pirates.
Yeah, they're a race of pirates for the most part. So when Frieza kills them all, it's kind of like, well, they kind of had it coming. In this one, they make Bardock and Goku's mom a lot more sympathetic. I mean, they're still pirates, but Bardock, decides to save his son out of the goodness of his heart, and they send him away, pretty much copying Superman's origin.
Right. And so you have they send off Goku as a kid. And so something that was weird, and it was only a split second. I didn't really notice it all that much. Like, I kind of noticed it, but I didn't really until I thought about it after I listened to Team 4 Stars.
Hey, Chris, can't hear you. All right, better.
Better?
Yeah. Sorry, just start where you left off. Team 4-star. Can't hear you again.
How about now?
Oh, it's better.
Okay. So until I heard or watched Team 4-star's review was you could clearly see that the last time you saw Bardock before Frieza sent his death ball down was he was, like in his armor, fine, no dirt, nothing. But then for a split second, you see once the death ball is coming to Earth or coming to planet Vegeta, huge, and Bardock's firing against it, he is clearly roughed up. His armor is broken and missing in places, and he's clearly bloody. So it's like there is some scene there that was cut out, and I hope we get it because I think that would sort of alleviate some of the people's complaints about Bardock being a cool character
And not being
which,
not he's not as savage as he was before.
right. I mean, he was an okay character. Like he had a really cool moment in his how he fought against Frieza and all that, but he wasn't that good of a character.
Yeah. And I did notice too. I mean, when Bardock dies from the death ball, he dies the same way. Like it's very similar animation where it hits him and it like starts burning his armor off and that kind of stuff. Like that is the same way he died in the original. So they clearly rewatched that special to like reanimate that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's probably the thing I like about this movie is that like the creators definitely took a look back at stuff they'd done before and they go, all right, we want to make sure that the fans really, enjoy this.
Yeah, and my friend asked me during that part, he's like, wait, wasn't Bardock a Super Saiyan? I was like, we don't talk about that.
Oh yeah, that OVA, yeah, that was a weird story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we really need time travel in this? I mean, not without a time machine. It just, yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I really enjoyed Dragon Ball Super Broly. I'm glad they kept Broly alive. Have you been reading the manga? Because they're past.
Yeah. So the manga's past the tournament. Yep.
Yeah, they mentioned Broly in the manga, so they're not, as of now, they are not making a manga out of the movie. I am wondering if they are going to make a show out of the movie. I sort of hope they don't. I sort of hope they just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Because unlike Battle of the Gods, where they could reanimate some things and sort of add some things to it, and Resurrection F, I just don't even want to talk about. I don't think you need to touch this movie at all. Unless you're going to show us more of that Bardock part, I don't think you really need to show us anything. And just
I agree. I mean, I think it's good enough to stand on its own. It tells a story that it needs to tell. It leaves you wanting more, which I think is always important.
But when it comes out on Blu-ray, give us the Snyder cut.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm calling all directors' cuts from now on. Give us the
Snyder cut. Yeah. Yeah, there was another thing too where Goku's fighting Broly, and there's like this point where he didn't do this before. He used like a Super Saiyan God powers to like stop him.
Yeah.
And he talks about like, hey man, Earth is relatively peaceful. We fought a lot of people. And you see the flashes of the different villains from the show. I thought that was also cool. Like part of this movie made me want to go rewatch Z again, even though I'm probably just going to rewatch the abridged and say, all right, that counts.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's I reread the manga and I'm like, okay, that counts.
Yeah.
And so there was that, and then also when Vegeta went Super Saiyan God, and he's using like these concentrated air blasts, and they are wrecking Broly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, okay, that's really cool. And then people, were saying like, wait, was that? Oh, I heard it in the theater when Goku was turning into blue for the first time. And they're like, is that Ultra Instinct? Because how the animators did it, like you saw when Goku went blue, his hair went silver for a second. And then when Vegeta went Super Saiyan God, his hair turned green. Or no, when he went Super Saiyan, his hair turned green. People are like, is this a new color? It's like, no, it's not. They're just having fun with their animation styles, and it still looked beautiful.
Yeah, it did. I mean, the fact that you had Gogeta in this movie, you didn't need Ultra Instinct. That would have been OP.
Yeah, but only in the way that it's like, okay, you can't really hit him. You couldn't really hit Goku in that part, and he can like he'll be able to hit Broly. Like that's the only like he's not actually stronger, but it's just like it's untouchable essentially. But they did something that they hadn't done in a Dragon Ball movie or a TV show. They let the fused character actually finish off the opponent.
Yeah.
Because in Fusion Reborn, well, besides in Fusion Reborn, they stay fused to finish off Janemba. But Gotenks never got to finish off Boo. Vegito didn't. Blue Vegito didn't finish off Zamasu, or Zamasu, however you say his name.
Mm-hmm.
So besides Fusion Reborn, which is not canon, Gogeta actually got to quote unquote finish off Broly.
Yeah, yeah. They made a reference to Vegito too when he's like, "Oh, last time we fused used the earrings." So like they definitely knew their continuity well enough.
Right.
And like Vegeta doesn't know the fusion dance because he never did it. It's like, all right, yeah, you guys paid attention.
Right, and then Vegeto's like, I refuse to do it. Goku's like, wait, what about Bulla and your darling Bulma? And Vegeta's like, don't you dare try to use them against me.
Yeah, there's some good Vegeta moments in this for sure.
Yeah, Christopher Sabat got to have fun because he was also voicing King Vegeta as well.
I'm trying to see if I missed anything. Oh yeah, so the last thing I want to talk about before we wrap up for the day. So where do you see the future of Dragon Ball? You know, the Dragon Ball franchise going, because they clearly have plans for more. I'm assuming they're going to bring the show back at some point, and they clearly want to use Broly again. Otherwise, they would have killed him. So
right.
yeah,
so,
I mean, it looks
so
like. Sorry, you can go.
Oh, thanks. The upcoming arc is sort of taking us to this sort of mystical portion of Dragon Ball, like you had with originally like Piccolo, and you had with Babidi. This person was this ancient evil force, so it'll be interesting to see how they fight him, because it took like the strongest of the Kais to fight him. And so he's not going to be like this typical fighter like we've had in Dragon Ball for pretty much all the villains, really ever. He's probably going to be more like this Babidi type character, but instead of just being able to control people, he's just very strong. And I think that's fine. Let's get back into this sort of like fantasy era of Dragon Ball, because I think it went into the more of the sci-fi territory for most of Z.
Yeah, it looks like they're dealing with some fantasy stuff. There's rumors that like Goku and Vegeta are gonna lose their god powers at some point, and I'm just like, why would you do that?
And that sort of looks like it could happen with this villain, because apparently the Fat Kai that turned Kid Buu into Fat Buu used up most of his god power when fighting this guy to seal him. So if you have Goku and Vegeta do that, then you could have everything fold back into GT. But the other thing that doesn't make sense about that is they've said different things throughout Super that sort of like wipe out that last couple episodes of Z that take place technically after this time.
Oh yeah, it was a peaceful 5 years.
Like, yeah, this ain't all that peaceful.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we'll see. And then also Bowman like, we haven't seen you in 5 years. I'm like, y'all are spending a good amount of time together. So we'll see what happens. I think, this Toriyama is going to keep chugging along. I hope this next arc is a lot better than Tournament of Power, but considering how low the bar was set for that, I don't think it's going to be that hard.
Yeah.
But Dragon Ball, I think, is still my favorite anime of all time. But speaking of favorite animes of all time.
What's up?
So we were talking about this probably a couple weeks ago, and so I once did a best animated Disney movie of all time bracket, and I brought it back a few weeks ago in one of the groups I'm in. So we had the idea, and actually one of the people that was on the animated Disney bracket said I should do is a best anime of all time. So at some point in the near future, we'll probably be compiling 32 animes and releasing a bracket of best animated of all time. And depending on the timing and how long we decide to do it for, we might commentate how things do, or maybe we'll just make small mini podcasts on the different rounds, depending.
Yeah, no, it might be. I mean, depending on how it goes, it could be a thing we talk about, whenever we do the podcast, and we can kind of go in discussions about our opinions about what we think about the brackets and what's better than what. I'd really like to see if I could grab some guests to come on.
We'll definitely need some guests for that.
So I'm gonna scour the interwebs to see if I can, see if I can find some people to come on the show, because I like when guests come on. It's a good time.
Yes, it's good to hear some other things, and we'll dive into it. I mean, there's only so far I've dove into anime, so when it comes to my favorite ones, I'll be out there defending it as hard as I can. But when it comes to others, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, okay, I'll take your word for it. As long as Rurouni Kenshin gets in, that's all I care about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so be on the lookout for that.
All right, Chris, do you have anything else before we wrap up?
Nope.
Alrighty, well, I'm Chris.
I'm Chris.
And this has been the 19th edition of the Two Black, Two Nerdy podcast. Next edition will be 20th. So that'll be cool. I'll see if we can do anything special. But thank you guys for listening, and always looking for feedback. You can tweet me at thatguycd.
You can tweet me at Chris_Breezy23.
All right, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Live long and prosper.